Okay, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all the higher praise, honor, glory. Due to Yahweh Bashim Shai, only to Yahweh Bashim Shai. All that, double honors to the elders, sing honors to the apostles, preaching, teaching the word of truth with sincerity as always. Let's get into this lesson here. Let's get into this lesson here. Before I play this clip here, I took this as an Omen Nomen. It's pretty funny. Lord has a sense of humor. And as I saw this clip here, because then I saw this clip, this is what hit me first. 2nd Esdras 13:31 and 2nd Esdras 15 and 19. 2nd Esdras 13:31, it says, "And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another." 2nd Esdras 15 and 19. "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." Here's the clip here. And I just took this as an Omen Nomen. Lord showing me that, confirming that this is what's going to happen once again. People are going to be fighting for the lack of bread. Okay, like here you have in this video. Now these are rats, but this person caught these film all about rats fighting for this last piece of bread here, or this bagel here. This is how it's going to be. Man, that's how it's gonna be. The times we're gonna be fastly approaching. Second Esdras 15:5. Behold, says Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Once again, these things are happening. They're gonna come. And this is 2nd Esdras 16. "18. The beginning of sorrows and great mourns, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Jump to 22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish with famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Also, that's what's gonna happen, man. People fighting each other for the lack of bread. For the last bag of groceries, or last McChicken, the last Powerade, the last water. These people are just it's gonna be looking at pretty lawless out here soon. Verse 23, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, and for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. And the dead shall be cast out as dung. I got Jeremiah 32:33. And the slain of the Lord shall be at that day from one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. Basically, like manure, like shit. They're gonna be dropping like how you do it when you go into shit. Habakkuk 3 verse 17. Even though the fig trees have no fruit and no grapes grow on the vines, even though the olive crop fails and the fields produce no grain, even though the sheep all die and the cattle stalls are empty, that's what's going to happen. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. 2 Ezra 6 and 22. Their Walmart's going to be found empty. I live near a Walmart, near Myers too. Those are going to be empty soon one day. And every time I pass by that, I just look at the sign, and then that Walmart sign. And if you have any knowledge or anything of that sort, all you gotta do is take the wall, put it backwards, it's law, keep the A in the middle. Mart, short for martial law. And most of them are near highways. Notice most of those stores are near highways. And the way the Walmarts and those stores are set up is to be destabilized quickly. In a matter of seconds, if you have a group of workers with you, in this case Marines, soldiers with you, and they're near trains too, to transport cargo, military equipment. Amos 4 and 6. Those will be found empty. 18. I will still be joyful and glad, because the Lord God is my Savior. The sovereign Lord gives me strength. He makes me sure-footed as a deer. So the elect is gonna be. That's what the elect, the spirit of the elect is gonna be like. And keeps me safe on the mountains. Con. Okay. So that was just quick there briefly on the famine, how it's gonna happen, the economic collapse, and I have another clip on this going into prophecy in Denver 2025. Kevin McAllister's groceries.
Then versus now.
Now check this out.
Kevin McAllister's Home Alone shopping list. Kevin's solo trip to the grocery store in the 1990 classic cost him $19.83. How much will the same 10 items cost today? Let's find out. The first item in the cart is Kevin's half gallon of whole milk with a...
Just going into how the more once again into 2 Ezra 6, 2022, the Forster houses are going to be soon found empty. 2 Ezra 15, 19, they shot us with the sword because of the lack of bread. And Second is 1331. One shall fight another, one city against another, one people against another. That one's going into race wars because people are just going to be chaotic and not being stabilized with this knowledge and doctrine we're gonna have, but they're going to bug and panic it out. And also just going into how basically Isaiah 47, this place is fallen. America's ways is fallen. Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Yeah, so America is no longer going to be tender and delicate, like how it used to be, prosperous and known to be a good and free and easy way to have that easy life, better life. So check out this clip here.
Then versus now. Kevin McAllister's Home Alone shopping list. Kevin's solo trip to the grocery store in the 1990 classic cost him $19.83. How much will the same 10 items cost today? Let's find out. The first item in the cart is Kevin's half gallon of whole milk with a price tag of $2.99. Across the aisle is his carton of Tropicana pure premium orange juice, adding $4.99 to our receipt. Kevin's big loaf of Wonder Bread is not sold in a 50-mile radius of where I'm shopping, so I'm forced to substitute this $3.29 butternut brand large loaf. Next up is the frozen food aisle to pick up Kevin's Humble Holiday Turkey Dinner. It is supremely priced at $3.79. His single serving side of macaroni and cheese will set us back an additional $3.29. A house full of McAllisters left Kevin in need of the most essential of essentials. His premium ply no good yellow keister wipes will add $7.99 to our total. Who can't forget the criminal catching cling wrap with a cost of $4.49. How responsible of Kevin to steal from Brother Buzz to buy laundry supplies. His bottle of Tide detergent costs us a whopping $15.99, while the purchase of static stopping snuggle dryer sheets costs an additional $5.99. I double dog dare any of you to try to find Kevin's final purchase of Little Green Army Men. I can't find them anywhere. So these $4.29 soldiers of the Candy Kingdom will take their place. Sally is off using up her PTO, so I'm forced to check out alone. Kevin paid $19.83 for his groceries in 1990, while our 2025 total is $50.24.
That was $40 more.
Walmart in the 90s? Totally different vibe than today. Let me show you. Remember the smiling greeters at the door? Handing out smiley face stickers, saying, welcome! Now?
This is just to give you an idea, basically, because how the Lord's word has evolved our generation we're in right now to a weaker one. Okay, a weaker one to what it was in the early 2000s. Okay. And just showing you, with on top of it, with the knowledge we have, this truth, this knowledge we have, to those of you who don't know, and this is definitely, you don't got to be spiritual to know and discern this is the end, but you do. And you don't. Because it's clearly obvious right now we're in the end, unless you just are unless you're just stuck with the Brett entertainment and junk food, cheap junk food or expensive junk food at this point.
Security camera, self-checkout signs, nobody smiles at the door. Mini arcades or demo video games near the toys? Hours of fun while mom shops. Today, no arcades, just tablets or phones in your hand. Remember those big aquariums? You'd stand there for minutes, staring at the fish while your mom shopped. Now, no aquariums, just shelves and displays everywhere. No little moments like that. Do you prefer Walmart in the 90s or today? Let me know in the comments.
Also, once again, the glory of Babylon. The mirth also is it also goes into Isaiah 14 or Isaiah 24 as well. It works. Isaiah 24 and verse 7. The new wine mourneth, the buying languisheth, all the merry hearted do sigh. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoiceth endeth. The joy of the harp ceaseth. They shall not drink wine with song, strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. The city of confusion is broken down, every house is shut up, that no man may come in. There is a crying for wine in the streets, all joy is darkened, the mirth of the land is gone. God. 14. They shall lift up their voice, they shall sing for the God. God, but basically, oh yeah, that's going into once again the mirth shall cease. Yeah, because that's what the Lord's gonna shut off all the feasting and joyousness in the careless city before the destruction comes. Before this comes, Isaiah 13:6. How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, and shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. God, that's literal there. The thermonuclear missile is gonna melt whatever's left in where it's gonna hit, which is Babylon. 16. Their children shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Yeah, that's what those nationals in here already are going to be focused on. Their mission is going to be to do. And I'm going to play this last clip, and we'll close out with this. Close out with that. Here, but going into the economy once again. This is just the video going into the 2 6. 22, 13, 31, 15, 19. And we got to pray that those three scriptures continue to come to pass. Revelation 6 and 6, the black horse. So it's prophesied already that an economic collapse, famine is going to be happening.
Who gets destroyed and who gets... Not every decade. No.
Play this last clip, then with this we'll close out. So that's Shalom. Bar.
There's a pattern in economic history that repeats with mechanical precision. Not every decade, not randomly, but when specific conditions align. Extreme asset valuations, record debt levels, excessive leverage, widespread belief that this time is different, and a trigger event that forces liquidation. These conditions existed in 1929, they existed in 2008, and right now in 2025, every single one of these conditions exists again. Not similar conditions, identical conditions. The stage is set, the players are positioned, and if history is any guide, the crash will come in late 2026 or early 2027. This isn't prophecy, this isn't doom-mongering, this is pattern recognition. Let me show you exactly how crashes unfold, who loses everything, who profits enormously, and why the 2026 crash could be worse than 1929 and 2008 combined. Because the scale is larger, the leverage is higher, the interconnection is deeper, and the people in power have used all their ammunition fighting the last crisis, leaving nothing in reserve for the next one. What I'm about to show you is a documentary analysis of a crash that hasn't happened yet, but follows a pattern that has happened twice before with devastating accuracy. The mechanisms are the same, the timeline is predictable, and the outcomes, who gets destroyed and who gets rich, follow the same script every single time. Let me start with where we are right now. January 2025, the setup. Every crash begins with a bubble. And we are currently in the largest everything bubble in history. But it's not just stocks. Real estate in major cities is at all-time highs. The median home price in America is $420,000. The median household income is $75,000. That's a ratio of 5.6 to 1. Historically, sustainable ratios are 3 to 1. At 5.6, housing is 87% overvalued relative to incomes. In 2006, before the housing crash, the ratio peaked at 5.0, or higher now. Corporate debt is at record levels. Non-financial corporate debt in the United States is $13.5 trillion, 72% of GDP. In 2007, it was 43% of GDP. Corporations are more leveraged now than before the last crisis. Government debt is $36 trillion, 120% of GDP. Interest payments alone are approaching $1 trillion annually. And consumer debt, credit cards, auto loans, student loans, totals over $17 trillion. Total debt in the U.S. economy, government, corporate, household, financial sector exceeds $90 trillion. That's over 320% of GDP. Every sector is leveraged beyond historical norms simultaneously. This is the everything bubble. Everything is expensive, everyone is in debt, and everyone believes prices will keep rising forever. Why do they believe this? Because for 15 years, since 2009, the Federal Reserve has guaranteed it. Every time markets started falling, the Fed cut interest rates or printed money. Quantitative easing. QE1, QE2, QE3, COVID stimulus. The Fed printed over $8 trillion from 2008 to 2022. This money flowed into assets, driving prices higher. Investors learned a simple rule. Buy the dip. The Fed will save you. This conditioning created moral hazard. No one fears risk because risk has been eliminated by central bank intervention. But there's a problem. The Fed has used its ammunition. Interest rates were at zero for a decade. They can't go lower. The balance sheet expanded from $800 billion in 2008 to $9 trillion in 2022. There's limited room for more expansion without triggering inflation, which already happened in 2021, 2022. The Fed fought inflation by raising rates from 0% to 5.5% in 18 months, the fastest rate increase in 40 years. This stopped inflation, but it created new problems. Higher rates make existing debt more expensive. Corporate debt issued at 3% must be refinanced at 7%. Mortgages at 3% are now 7%. This debt burden is crushing. And the Fed cannot lower rates significantly without reigniting inflation. They're trapped. Rates too low, inflation returns. Rates too high, debt becomes unpayable. There's no good option. This is the setup. Maximum valuations, maximum leverage, and a Federal Reserve that has already used its tools and has nothing left for the next crisis. Now let me show you how this compares to 1929 and 2008, because the patterns are identical. In 1929, the stock market had risen 400% from 1924 to 1929. 5-year boom. Margin debt, borrowing to buy stocks, reached 10% of GDP. Everyone was leveraged. Everyone believed stocks only go up. The phrase permanently high plateau was used by economists in 1929 to describe the new era where crashes were impossible. Then October came. The market fell 89% over 3 years. In 2008, the housing market had doubled from 2000 to 2006. Mortgage debt reached 100% of GDP. Everyone was leveraged buying houses with subprime loans. Everyone believed housing prices never fall nationally. Then the subprime mortgages started defaulting. The financial system collapsed. The S&P fell 57%. In both cases, the setup was the same. Asset bubble, excessive leverage, widespread belief in permanence, then a trigger, and then cascading liquidation. The 2026 crash will follow the same pattern. We have the bubble, we have the leverage, we have the belief that Fed intervention makes crashes impossible. All we need is the trigger. And there are multiple candidates. Let me show you the 3 most likely triggers and how each one could start the cascade. Trigger 1, commercial real estate collapse. This is the most likely trigger because it's already underway. Office buildings across America are 40 to 50% vacant due to remote work. Companies that used to lease 5 floors now lease 2. This is permanent. Remote work isn't going back to 2019 levels. These buildings were financed with mortgages at 3% interest rates. Those mortgages are maturing now and must be refinanced at 7 to 8%. A building that generated just enough rental income to cover debt service at 3% is bankrupt at 7%. The math doesn't work. Building owners are walking away. Brookfield Asset Management, one of the largest real estate owners globally, defaulted on 2 Los Angeles office towers in 2023, just stopped paying, gave the buildings to the lender. This wasn't because Brookfield is in trouble. It's because those specific buildings are worth less than the mortgages. It's economically rational to default. Over $2 trillion in commercial mortgages mature between 2025 and 2027. If 30% default, that's $600 billion in losses. Phase 3 is the cascade. This is when the real crash happens. Forced liquidation, margin calls, panic selling. In 1929, the cascade lasted from November 1929 to July 1932. The market fell 89%. In 2008, the cascade was faster, September 2008 to March 2009, a 57% fall in 6 months. The 2026 cascade could be somewhere between probably 12 to 18 months, a 50 to 70% decline from peak to trough. Here's how the cascade works mechanically. Stage 1 of the cascade, leveraged investors get margin calls. Investors who borrowed to buy stocks are forced to sell when stocks fall. They borrowed at, let's say, 50% margin. If stocks fall 20%, their equity is nearly wiped out. The broker issues a margin call. Sell now or we'll sell for you. These forced sales drive prices lower. Stage 2, institutional investors face redemptions. Mutual funds, hedge funds, pension funds, when their assets fall, investors demand their money back. The funds must sell stocks to raise cash. More selling pressure. Stage 3, algorithmic trading amplifies the decline. High-frequency trading algorithms see prices falling and accelerate the selling. Stop-loss orders trigger. Circuit breakers halt trading, which creates more panic when trading resumes. Stage 4, liquidity disappears. When everyone is selling and no one is buying, there are no bids. Stocks gap down 10, 20, 30% because there's no buyer at any reasonable price. The market isn't declining, it's collapsing. Stage 5, credit markets freeze. When stock prices are falling and panic is widespread, banks stop lending. Why lend money when borrowers might go bankrupt tomorrow? Credit freezes. Companies that need to refinance debt cannot. They default. Banks that lent to those companies take losses. The cycle accelerates. During the cascade, the economy enters recession. Stock market crashes destroy wealth. About $30 trillion in market value could be lost. Consumers feel poor. They cut spending. Companies lose revenue. They lay off workers. Unemployment rises from 4% to 9 or 10%. Laid off workers cut spending further. More companies lose revenue, more layoffs. This is the feedback loop that turns a market crash into an economic depression. Phase 4 is maximum panic. This is the bottom. When fear is so extreme that people sell everything regardless of price. In 1929, the panic bottom was July 1932. The Dow at 41, down 89%. Unemployment at 25%. Banks failing by the hundreds. In 2008, the panic bottom was March 2009. The S&P at 66, down 57%. Unemployment at 10%. Major banks insolvent and bailed out by the government. In 2026, the panic bottom could come in late 2027 or early 2028. The S&P, currently at 6,000, could fall to 2,500 or lower. Unemployment at 10%. Multiple bank failures. Government intervention. This is the moment of maximum fear and maximum opportunity. Phase 5 is the slow recovery. This begins when the government intervenes massively. In 1933, Roosevelt launched the New Deal, created jobs, reformed banking, and restored confidence. The recovery from 1929 took a decade. Stocks didn't reach 1929 levels again until 1954, 25 years later. In 2008, the government bailed out banks. The Fed printed $3 trillion. Congress passed stimulus. The recovery was faster. Stocks reached new highs by 2013, 4 years later. The full economic recovery took until 2015. In 2026, 2027, the government will intervene again, but the scale will be larger. The Fed will cut rates to zero. Congress will pass multi-trillion-dollar stimulus. Banks will be bailed out, but the recovery could be slower than 2008 because the debt levels are higher. Government debt at 120% of GDP. Adding trillions in stimulus pushes it to 150% or 180%. At those levels, debt service consumes tax revenue. The government faces difficult choices: austerity, raising taxes, or inflating away the debt. None are easy. The recovery could take 5 to 10 years. Stocks might not reach 2025 levels again until 2032 or later. This is the 5-phase pattern. Initial shock, false recovery, cascade, panic bottom, slow recovery. Now let me show you who gets destroyed and who gets rich. Because every crash creates massive wealth transfer from those who don't see it coming to those who do. Who gets destroyed? The middle class, holding stocks and homes. In 1929, the middle class that had invested in stocks lost everything. Families that had felt wealthy in 1928 were destitute by 1933. Their stock portfolios fell 89%. Their homes were foreclosed when they couldn't make payments. In 2008, middle-class homeowners who bought at the peak lost 40 to 50% of home equity. Many went underwater, owing more on mortgages than homes were worth. Some walked away, others were foreclosed.